Well, good morning. This is Jim Moore, and you are watching Justice for America. It is May 6th, 2024, and this is episode number 90. Now, we have another channel that is Words of Encouragement, quite a bit more programs, 700, almost 800 programs. But we're glad to have you on this channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and like and hit the notification bell. Or even if you're on Rumble or wherever you're watching this, make sure to do those three things. It tremendously helps the algorithm. So we're going to jump right into it this morning. We're going to do London has fallen. I'm going to bring you some news about London. Is America next? And what's it going to look like by this time next year? All right, so let's jump right into it. Now, I've only got a few links this time. If you're new to the program, the way we do this is I highlight links for you and tell you what they're about. And then I expect that you would go to them and look them up. They're always in the description box on whatever venue you're watching this. So you should be able to link right from there. If not, you might have to cut and paste them into your browser, whatever it takes. They're worth watching. I scour through quite a number of programs to bring you what I feel like is really urgent. And this is one that is super, super urgent because we need to understand the big picture of what's going on in the world. So Lord, give us instruction and help us to have good insight. All right, so we're going to start out the first one. Now, this is actually going to be a bit of a difficult link to watch, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of it. It's not long. I think it's only like maybe 12 minutes long. But it's a woman who's at a CPAC, I believe, in the Netherlands. Where is it now? Well, she's talking really about all of Europe, and that's an important thing to remember. She talks about the Dutch. She talks about Germany, all of Europe. Now, I know right away a lot of people think, I don't really care what's going on. I want to know what's going on in our country. Well, what's happening in a lot of our countries around the world are precursors to what I believe is coming to the United States. Now, really, I want to say this carefully. It's not coming to the United States. It's here. As you're watching this program right now, some of the things we're going to talk about are actually happening right as in real time as you're watching this program. Maybe not to the degree they're happening in other places, and we don't want to say, well, that's really bad and we're not so bad, so I'm not going to worry about it. No, that's exactly the problem that we have sometimes. Anyway, we're going to start with this clip, and she is talking about some statistics that's happening in London, in Germany, Brussels, different places. Listen, these are stunning. I guarantee you that 90+% of you have no idea. I guess I shouldn't throw out percentages because I don't really know. But I'm going to say the majority of you probably don't have an idea to the degree that illegal, and not just illegal, but legal and illegal migration. There has been a mass migration of population centers to other places around the world. There is a huge mixing up. It's like the shuffling of a deck, you know. I'm not the greatest shuffler in the world. I like to throw them on the desk and mix them all around. That's what's happening in the globe right now. Now, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of that. In short, this is going to be short order today. But it's important that you understand how this affects you, why it matters, okay? The goods and the bads, way more bads than goods, but that's another thing. This woman is talking about the percentages of migrants from other countries in Germany. 50, 60, 70%. I don't want to spoil it for you. Just watch, and then hopefully, and I do actually pray that you'll go and watch these. I actually ask God to provoke you to do this. In some cases, and not just a minority of cases, whole cities are now flipped. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. Where instead of people from Africa in one country being 5%, 10%, 15%. They're now over the 50% mark and are the majority. Well, what does that mean? That means in these democratic or pseudo-democratic societies where they can vote, then they can vote, and if they don't have restrictions about who can hold office, and I'll talk about that in a minute, then you're going to have people who are radicalized in public office. All right? So we're not talking about people of another faith being in a public office. At least here in this country, we allow that. However, the faith that the person who is running for public office embraces should not give way or have a philosophical viewpoint that violence is acceptable in order to rule the world. I just want to be a plain talker, because that is what a lot of people in their particular faith believe is okay. So what happens when you take somebody with that sort of a religious philosophical viewpoint and put them in public office? Allow them to run instead of going, wait a minute, nope, you believe that terrorism is okay. You believe that, let's change the flag to put swords on it. You believe that it's okay to make women, subservient, and beat them with rods. I'm not exaggerating. This happens every day in other parts of the world. And other parts of the world have now come to America, Ireland, England, Australia, Mexico, some more than others. Yes. So I want you to listen to this clip, and it's the only clip I'm going to do today, and then I'm going to go through these links and tell you just a little bit about them. And I do want to say one thing about this clip before we get started. Her viewpoint about trying to fight for the religion of Christianity. I'm a Christian. I'm a full-blown follower of Jesus. I make no apologies or mistakes about that. Those of you who know me know that's true. I am the Christian the devil warned you about. Okay, so I'm full on that. But, however, we do not want a state-run religion. Every time in the past and currently, do you know there are some countries that have a state-run religion? It's amazing to me how many Christians do not even know what's happening in their world. Okay, historically, you've got Islam. All of them have been guilty of incredible violence and bloodshed when they made it a law that you have to be a certain religion. It seems like every one of them, there may be an exception or two, but every one of them wound up turning violent as they made demands. You've got the Inquisition. You got even the Protestant movement that was attempting to throw off the chains of the Spanish and the Catholic Inquisition, did some persecuting themselves. All right, so that's the one caveat I have about this. I think we have to be very careful that we allow people freedom to choose how they want to believe in God, up until the point where it demands forceful conversion, hear me clearly, on pangs of violence if you do not submit. And that is, and I'm going to say it, I know it's going to get me in trouble, I'm going to say it anyway, the vast majority of the Islamic faith, the vast majority. If you take the global population, maybe not in this country, although that's changed now because we have massive migration, okay? In other countries, Arab countries of the world, the vast majority of them believe that ultimately a holy war, jihad, and taking the life of other people in order to keep them submitted to Sharia law and so on is not only acceptable. There's variations of different, you've got fundamentalists and then you've got the radical, so on and so on. But there's like, yeah, it should happen. And then there's like the ones that are like, no, it has to happen. All right. So let's go ahead and go to this as she explains these numbers. Give it a close listen. Play clip number 1.
Hello, Hungary. Hello, Budapest. Hello, fellow Europeans and American friends. Thank you so much for having me. Allow me to skip formalities for a moment and dive right into a subject that is not so cheerful, but very, very necessary to discuss. let me walk you through the past 7 days in Europe. This week in Stockholm, 3 elderly women in their 70s were stabbed in broad daylight on the streets. In London, 4 people were stabbed in a time span of just 42 hours. In Paris, hundreds of African migrants took to the street to riot. And in Brigalow, also in France, yet another church was burned down to the ground. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is just a few incidents in just a couple of days on our beautiful continent. But we all know that these incidents aren't incidents anymore. If there's one thing that's for sure, is that we know, and our governments also know, that there is a link between mass migration and crime. In the Dutch city of Dordrecht, something interesting happened the other day. They announced, and this is a small city in the Netherlands, in my home country, that a new asylum center will be put in that little town. And what did the municipality do? They said, we are going to offer citizens who live in the vicinity of this center 1,000 euros to take extra safety measures. Our new reality in Europe consists of frequent rapes, stabbings, killings, murders, shootings, even beheadings. But let me be clear about one thing. This did not used to happen before. This is a newly imported problem. Samuel P. Huntington predicted this over 25 years ago when he wrote, and I quote, "In the new world of mass migration, the most pervasive, important, and dangerous conflicts will not be between the social classes. They will not be between the rich and the poor. They will be between peoples belonging to different cultural entities. Tribal wars and ethnic conflicts will occur within civilizations." Well, boy, was he right. And the worst part is, we as a society seem to have become indifferent to it. When another white boy or a white girl dies at the hand of an immigrant, we might shake our head, we might let out a sigh, we might even get angry for a minute or two, and then we go on with our lives. We offer the family thoughts and prayers, but nothing ever changes. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that say about us? This is a response of a society that has already given up, a society that has already accepted its defeat. But is this true? Have we given up? Do we really accept the new reality that our globalist leaders have in mind for us? I know one thing for sure, and that is that if nothing changes, if we don't start to seriously fight for our continent, for our religion, for our people, our countries, then this time that we live in will go down in history as the time in which Western nations no longer had to get invaded by hostile armies in order to be conquered. This time will then go down in history as the period in which the invader was actively invited in by a corrupt elite. And not only did this corrupt elite invite the enemy in, they made the native population pay for it too. Everyone who has eyes can see it. The native, white, Christian European population is being replaced at an ever-accelerating rate. Let me back this up for you with some statistics from my home country. Let's take Amsterdam, the capital. Amsterdam currently consists of 56% migrants. The Hague, 58% migrants. Rotterdam, almost 60% migrants. And of course, most of these immigrants come from non-Christian, non-Western, African and Middle Eastern countries. Conclusion, the Dutch population is already outnumbered in the majority of our cities. But let's look onwards. London, 54% migrants. Again, conclusion, native population outnumbered. Brussels, color me shocked, 70% migrants. Conclusion, native population majorly outnumbered. And other Europeans will, of course, follow suit soon if they haven't already. So I'm going to draw the forbidden conclusion here. The Great Replacement theory is no longer a theory. It's reality.
I hope that strikes you deep in your heart. There's more, and you should watch all of it. Again, we don't want to promote race. Okay, racism is when one race believes it is superior to the other, and it is an ultimate evil, and it is all over the world. But if we do not have laws that prohibit violence and destruction and forceful, you have to do this, or else kind of, I don't care what you don't, every right has a limit. Do you understand that? We have freedom of religion to a degree. Okay, we're losing a lot of that in our country. I do believe we should be fighting for freedom of religion. However, every freedom has parameters. And when the parameters begin to be erased, that's when chaos happens. So that's link number one. It's called Europe Has Fallen. Welcome to the New World Order. Now, number two, I'm just going to show you 4 or 5 of what's happening mostly in Europe right now. Okay, there's a couple with the United States of America. So this next one, number 2, will England cease to exist as it has historically been? Now listen, change is inevitable, change always happens, but we're not talking about the violent overthrow of democratic societies. That is a no-no, okay? So this man, you're going to be shocked when I tell you how many cities in England have Islamic mayors, and some of them shouting to the rooftop for Sharia law and the burqa and the persecution of anyone who doesn't agree with their religion. This is not an exaggeration. There are definitely those who do not do that, 100%. We're not saying prohibit people from holding office if they have a sanity about their religious views. Okay, anyway, number 2, will England cease to exist? Ali Mothin, a Muslim fundamentalist, that means he does believe in jihad, part of the Green Party candidate, has won the local election on the Leeds City Council. Okay? Look it up. It shows him rah, rah, rah. There's got some people out in the audience who are saying, they're shouting at him and saying boo, which they should, because his radical idealisms about Islam being a part of the area he has control over now, okay? London is giving away their sovereignty in many ways, okay? Number 3, I title this one is London Lost. Here's another one. Sadiq Khan has won another 4 years as mayor. Did you know that the mayor of London, one of the largest and most influential cities in the world, is Islamic? Now, each one of these people that I'm mentioning, I'm not here to say they're butchers or that they're, okay? Each one of them has a measure of what they believe, all right? The proof is in how they rule, okay? If Donald Trump said, hey, I'm a Muslim, but I don't believe in killing people, I don't believe in coercing and forcing people to become Islamic on pains of death, okay, then if he has moral standard, and most of all is willing to abide by the laws of the land. I'm not going to come in and try to change the law and say you can't eat pork anymore. I'm not going to come in and try to say all of your women have to wear burqas with a little tiny, netting that they can barely. No. I'm not going to try to change the laws of the land to Sharia law. You get what I'm saying? Are you smart enough to make a distinction between that? Everybody ought to have the right to worship God the way they want. I believe there's one God. His name is Yahweh. He has a son named Jesus Christ. He saves, he heals, he delivers. I believe all that. But I also believe that when you start telling people, as even Christendom has done in the past, in the first a few hundred years of Christianity, if you've never read, and again, it doesn't make Christianity wrong. It makes the people who misinterpret what the words of Jesus are. He didn't go out and say, hey, kill people until they say yes to me, okay? Are we smart enough to get the distinction here? Okay, our countrymen in the United States of America came out of that. Okay, England had a state-run religion. And if you didn't do what they said, okay, it was like, you're in big, big trouble. You're going to get thrown in prison. You go back far enough, okay, and the countries that were ruled by Christianity under the Inquisitions killed, it was the Catholic Church, okay? Yes, I'm not against, okay, please be smart. Please understand the distinction that we're talking about here. This is why we get into trouble, because we either, I'm on this side and death to everyone else, or I'm on this side and everyone else is going to hell. Okay, listen. God is the judge. Jesus said, I'm the truth. I believe that. Okay? I'm not trying to be preachy to you. I'm saying there is a place, and this country used to have it, where we tolerated other religions to the point where they got violent. I'm just simplifying it. And then we said no, because our laws of the land say you can't do that. Doesn't matter what your religion says. Okay? You believe you want to believe that a mushroom is God, there's actually a religion that believes that. You just go right ahead. But if you want to force feed everybody else's mushrooms, no, you're going to go to jail. It's not that complicated. Okay? But in the desire of our politicians to please everyone and not to be on the they just want to jump on the bandwagon. Okay. All right. I know I'm... Okay, so look at number 3. He won, this guy in London, the mayor of London, again, for another 4-year term. This man named Khan, that's interesting for you Trekkies, won by making London a sanctuary city, okay, and importing countless numbers of Muslims. Only 40%, lean in and listen to me. Only 40% of Londoners bothered to vote. 40%. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's all rigged anyway. Okay. Number 4. Back to London. Now this is actually Sadiq Khan. This is another link for the same guy. So I'm not going to go into that. Let's go to Bradford in the UK. So, again, the majority has taken over. This is not theory. The reason I felt compelled to bring these to you is because most of the people I talk to don't believe it's as bad as it really is. And here's the problem. If you're unwilling to see what's happening someplace else, you're going to get caught short when it happens here. Okay? And the only reason I believe that it hasn't happened here so far is because there's been a tremendous amount of pushback. Okay? People say, oh, I don't listen to those guys on radio and TV that are, because they're so anti and they're so one-sided and I'm not sure about their Christianity, blah, blah, blah. Listen, you ought to thank God for all these guys on TV who are doing their best to try to bring the truth out. You really ought to, because I'm going to say this, and again, I'm going to get people mad at me. I'm sorry, but Christianity hasn't until recently had a voice. We lost our voice. Okay, we gave it up and we said, hey, we shouldn't just always say what God is against. We shouldn't be known as people who are against everything. That's true, not exclusively, okay? But when God is for something, the opposite of that thing means he's against it, okay? Let's just quit checking out our brains because somebody comes up with a nice saying that we really like. All right, I know I'm getting preachy today. So you're going to want to watch that one, number 5. It is stunning. So, has this happened in the United States of America? It is birthing. A lot of these other countries have millions and millions and millions. Okay, some of them, who knows how many, that are now influencing. Do you know that we have at least one city here in the United States of America that is completely run by the forces of Islam? Okay, you can't go there and live there. Okay. Sharia law. All right. Okay. Dearborn, Michigan. Look it up. All right, so all of you know, if you've been watching the news at all about what's been going on our college campuses, it saddens my heart tremendously. Number one, because it is being influenced and provoked by outside sources. I don't have the time to go into that today, but all you got to do is watch some of the, the channels. Oh, I don't watch TV, whatever. Anyway, so I'm not trying to pick on people. I just get so tired of hearing this stuff. Funded by outside. This is not an organic student movement. I'll just say it simply that way. Please do your own research. Funded by other Islamic nations and entities, some that are not at all Islamic, but they are like George Soros-esque, although he's actually involved. Okay, what I'm trying to say is this movement that wound up having a protest on over 200 campuses. Did you know there were 200 campuses? Okay, and that turned eventually, as it almost always does, turned violent. Okay, I was on a radio program the other day, and they're dissecting all these reasons, and we make things so complicated. Things are really not that complicated. They become complicated, but I said, listen, they tried to come out with a new law. I'm not sure where it's at, but there's like the anti-Jewish hate or like the anti-Semitism law where you cannot, come against the Jews. You cannot say, even going so far, and this raised a lot of red flags with some, you can't even say that Jews killed Jesus, which ultimately they didn't. The Romans killed Jesus, but the Jews were complicit. Anyway, so I was telling them on the radio program about this new law that they're trying to pass. I said, listen, and I'm going to tell you right now, we don't need another law. Our issue is that we don't enforce the laws we have. Enforce means to use force. We do not enforce. We already have anti-Semitic laws. We already have anti-hate laws. We already have we have more laws than we need. We just don't enforce them. And you create another law that you're still unwilling to enforce to placate the rise in the voices of the multitudes who are legitimately and rightly upset about what's going on our campus. You've just created another law that you're not willing to enforce. And what does that come down to? It comes down to wishy-washy, cream of wheat, soft soap, lying politicians that we elect, maybe not you, but somebody elects them and puts them in office. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, they vote their party. I just heard on the radio this morning, I'm here in Texas, the Austin elections for something, whatever, just the Democrats just swept it, even though they do the craziest things. All right. So I think I only just showed the one video because they're everywhere. You don't need me to tell you how to find these videos about what's going on the campus, what has been going on. Thank you, God, that eventually the police, local police, state police, even some military, National Guard, so finally stepped in, okay, before somebody got killed, and said, you got to go. And they cleaned everything out. No, the police are such bad guys. No. Okay? They're doing what they're supposed to do. All right. A lot I could say about the protest, but I'm not going to. Number 7, it's not all bad news. Number 7, I just got 2 more. Number 7 is a group. You see, sometimes unrighteousness is the loudest voice. Okay? So when you start out a protest because you don't like seeing innocents killed in a conflict like what's happening with the Israeli-Gaza conflict, I get that. I really do get that. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not tearing apart the issue. I'm just saying I get that. Okay? But when you start chanting death to ethnicity, oh my gosh, how do we do this? How do we become so insane that in another season, a year ago, you start crying out about death and genocide to a political party or an ethnicity or an age group or whoever, and you get thrown in jail. But now it's okay because it fits my narrative. we have got to come back to doing what is right, not just doing what is expedient for the cause that we happen to be standing on. Can I get an amen? All right, so this is some young men who are patriots, and they probably went overboard. Everybody goes overboard, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But this is, in my opinion, the good news. And John Rich, a country singer, you're going to hear him come on this thing and talk about standing up and doing a free concert for these frat boys who pulled down the flag, pulled down the Palestinian flag, and put the American flag back up, and USA 100% for that. Nobody should have let that flag go up. And now there are a bunch of other country stars. Lee Greenwood wants to come and sing "Proud to be an American," and they're thinking about calling it flag, as in the American flag, stock, as in Woodstock, flag stock. And if they do it, I think they'll have a massive gathering, and they'll have some pushback too. Okay. And then number 8 is again basically the same thing. If you want to, and I'm done. This just came to me this morning. One of the things that is burdened in my heart is that, because things are going to escalate. Now we can pray, and we should pray. Please, the Bible says we're supposed to sound an alarm. Blow the trumpet in Zion. It's still there if you look it up. I did. I promise you, it's still there. Blow the trumpet in Zion. Nobody likes that person. Sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Actually, do you know who said that? Well, it was prophet so-and-so. No, it was God who said that. God actually commanded them to sound an alarm. Why? Because of his mercy and his goodness. But nobody likes the person that's blowing the trumpet. All right? We need to be aware of what's coming, because it is coming. And we can mitigate it through our prayers. But I'm going to tell you, I don't believe we're going to stop it. And neither do most of the prophetic voices in the country right now believe that either. Okay. So, just this morning, it came out. Man walks up to you probably saw the thing the other day where the man Mari, whatever his last name is, Islamic radical, came up in the middle of his sermon and stabbed him, started stabbing him. And he actually has lost his eye now. He came back on, says, "My brothers and sisters who are of the Islamic faith, I love you." And I want to say the same thing. You can love someone and say, "Hey, guess what? It's not okay to stab somebody because they don't agree with your religion." Okay? I don't know why that's so hard for us. Anyway, he did a great job. He came out and said, "I love you, but I still believe that Jesus is the only way. But I want you to know that I love you." Anyway, lost his eye to that. This could be kind of a copycat thing. Who knows? But the man walks up and puts a gun in the pastor's face, and it misfires. Yeah, I'm sure that was just a coincidence. Yeah. Let me read a couple of statistics for you here. And literally in 2 minutes I'm done. This is from England. I didn't have time to verify this, okay? So I'm asking the person for the verification. I trust the person who's saying these things to have accurate information, but I don't have a link for you to verify. But I believe these are accurate. Okay. Mayors in England. The mayor of London is a Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is a Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is a Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is a Muslim. These are all England. The mayor of Oxford, England, is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. Shall I go on? The mayor of Oldham in England is a Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim. That's like 9 or 10 pretty good, cities in England. Yeah. Where they have elected, in many cases, radical Islamists. Fools. Foolish. Anyone who is elected to public office ought to be vetted as to the absolute legitimacy of their belief system. Not saying they can believe whatever God they want, but you can't kill people. You can't rape women. Okay? If you go back and watch that very first link, these rapes and stabbings, oh, wait a minute, I thought they had gun control so nobody could get killed. Don't get me started. The foolishness has got to end. People have got to wake up to doing what is right, not just loving what is right, but doing it. All right, so these things are happening every day. The woman gives the accounting of the last like 48 hours. It's stunning. If you knew how many of these things happen on a daily basis, it would blow your mind. All right, there are over 3,000 mosques in England. There are over 130 Sharia court systems that are not based on England's law. We have some right here in America. There are more than 50 Sharia Councils. That's a little different. 78% of Muslim women do not work. They receive state support and free accommodation. 63% of Muslim men do not work and receive state support. State-supported Muslim families with an average of 6 to 8 children receive free accommodation. Okay. All right. There's a huge problem. As the woman in the very first link, if you don't watch any of these other links, watch that one all the way down. It's only 12 or 13 minutes long. There's major, major conflict. Okay. There's going to be an excess of riots in the street. When you have, and I'm going to end right here, when you have a culture that is radically influenced by its religion, and the religion itself, okay, just listen to me, hear me out. I'm not a hater. I'm not against that. Well, I don't believe in their religion. I think it's wrong, okay? I've already made that position clear, but I'm not against their religious freedom. But when you have a religion and a culture that a large number of its people say to the river, to the sea. That means every Jew who come out, their leaders, literally, please don't be ignorant of this, literally their largest, most influential leaders, it's not one or two of them, it's almost all of them, come out and say, death to Americans, death to the nation of Israel. They've come out, a lot of them on record and said, oh yeah, if we could, we would take every single Jew and kill them. Push them, Israel will be pushed into the sea. You cannot have a democratically elected official running a democratic country who wants to kill an entire nation of people. Okay, have I said that plain enough? I don't care what the rhetoric says. I don't care what all the TikTok video says. I don't care what your best friend says. That is a non-starter. That is a bridge too far, and that's a red line we cannot afford to cross. Okay, that's all. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope this doesn't get me on the end of a rope somewhere, but this is the truth, okay? And we love you, and we love all people everywhere. We desire, God says he loves everyone. He wants that all people would be saved. I embrace that same philosophy, but we do stand against evil, against violence, against bloodshed, and against making people into religious or economic or sexual slaves. In Jesus' name. All right, God bless you. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.